Welcome to 2023. It's a new year. Time for a refresh and a refocus on what's important to you. Ross and I want to take the opportunity to say mahalo. Thank you for your listenership as we continue to move forward in our powder coating journey, which is your powder coating journey. Have you learned anything new? Wow, I know I have and feel so much more confident. We're taking a break from the usual routine today to focus on new products, specifically job shop attachments that can increase your productivity and lower your frustration level. Joining me is Scott Coates from Coatingsbycoates. He's got some new products guaranteed to blow your mind. Get ready to level up your powder coating game.
I'd like to introduce a guy we've been talking to for a while in the background, Scott Coates. I think you are technically the unofficial MVP of the year for product innovation. And I wanted to get you in before the end of the year. It's a couple days before the new year. And I think this is just such a great time to kind of talk and just start off the year with a bang on new products. So welcome to the show, Scott.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, let's just talk about briefly, just about your top, why we're here today. It's new products. And you have an innovation that is kind of taking Instagram, TikTok, and everywhere else that I'm seeing you kind of by storm, because everybody is ordering it, using it, trying it out, and then, the videos, and now they're showing others what they're using your product. So what is your product? And then we'll get into your story right after that.
So we offer, a small variety of products right now, and actually intending to improve upon that even more next year. But primarily it's focused around doing two-tone wheels and two-tone powder coat schemes using vacuum tools, which has been, it's been around forever, but I've just tried to make it easier for people to get access to like a complete kit and added some new features in. My eyesight's not the best in the world, so having a lighted tool helps me tremendously. And I thought when I first started working on this, I thought, this works pretty good for me. I wonder if others would like to have this. So then I started toying around with releasing the products. But anyway, it's mostly around different types of tools using vacuum, whether it's through a shop vac type setup or one of our other products is a pneumatic shop vac that works with no electricity at all, basically, and just uses shop air and suction method to remove powder from objects.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen really quick because I want everybody to kind of see, and we're going to go over to your Instagram, which pretty much is kind of like a good page to see everything. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is your kind of a hub for you to kind of showcase what you do. You obviously are doing a rim here. And this is kind of a newer tool. This is like kind of doing a lot of the bulk of the work. It's an extractor kit is what you're calling it, yeah?
Yeah, this is a powder extractor kit. Basically, it's got a piece of foam on the end that does the wiping motion, what you would typically do with something like a microfiber rag or some sort. And it has a suction right there at its disposal, so it pulls the powder in right away. This product is very simple, and I can't believe that someone hasn't come up with something like this already. But, every day that I'm in the shop working, I'm always looking for some way to make life easier for myself and other powder coaters as well. And this tool, although it's something that's pretty simple, this is going to be a very good time saver for people.
It is. Obviously, you can see how fast it removes everything. And I guess it's large enough, but then with the sucking motion, is this just attached to like a shop vac?
Yes, that's attached to a shop vac there. That's a shop vac hose you see in it. So basically, we have the adapter that adapts it to the end of the shop vac and holds the foam piece.
Right. Which kind of looks like that microphone, like a microphone type cover, like a foam cover to a microphone.
Yes.
And stuff. But this is like, it does take away a lot of the work and makes it a little fast. And then do you come back in over this with a more finer tool?
It depends on what you're using it on. I've noticed that some powders tend to still hold on to the powder you're trying to remove a little better. Where it really excels is on if you're doing say like a polished wheel and you're doing part of it powder cutting, like the back of the wheel, and the front of it you're leaving polished. Removing the powder from just a clean metal surface, it really pulls that off good. There's some GTR engine covers in there that I'm showing a demonstration on.
Which one is that? Did I pass it?
Go back up. I think it's closer to the top. Okay, go back down, over to the left.
These? Oh.
The second row on the left, where it says powder extractor kit. There you go.
That one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this also shows off the small extractor, what we call the junior.
Yeah.
And then later in the video, it shows the bigger one being used. But on raw aluminum like that, it really pulls the powder off good and clean.
Right.
To where really you don't have to as long as you can get into the corners and the cracks and crevices and get it all out, you really don't have to do anything afterwards.
And I find it amazing that it actually, I mean, if you're careful, and I know you're kind of speeding up for video purposes, or posting purposes, but like, I think what's amazing about this tool is that unless you're actually going around to the front or the side of this object, it's really only just taking what's right in front of it, right? You know, and that's what you always have to worry about, like when you're doing these two-tone or powder extraction kind of situations, you know?
Yeah, and that's the whole, theory behind this item and the the flexible attachments that I have as well. So you're basically using the tool to wipe with it, and the suction comes from a convenient location right by where you're wiping, so it pulls it off immediately.
Yeah.
It'll keep it from dropping on say the lip of the wheel or other areas where you don't want the powder to fall on, which is real common when you're trying to wipe it with your hand or other means.
And this is another tool, right, that you have. That yellow thing there that you just saw is actually something you made to kind of house all these tools. Yes. So this is a lighted tool to really get in. This is brilliant because, everybody wants this two-tone look now, and it's hard to get into these less deeper, etched rims. Not everybody has the deeper weld rims or deeper lettering.
Right.
And so it's great to get this kind of, and it's all lighted and everything. How handy and convenient can that be?
Yeah, there's another video where I literally showed me taking it out of the box and putting it to use in less than a minute. That's how convenient it is. Now that's really designed for doing small jobs, that are small, quick jobs where you don't want to have to deal with the hassle of dragging your shop back out and plugging it in and getting your tools set up. You have that where it's convenient. You grab it, throw it on your booth wall wherever you're trying to work, and in less than a minute you're able to start removing powder in the desired area.
And the first thing
puts back up just as quick.
Yeah. The first thing that I think correct me if I'm wrong, but the first thing that I thought that you had developed was a light to be housed or slipped onto the gun, right? Was that the first thing you made?
Yeah. The first product was a light. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of videos on that.
Yeah.
I think that video of the booth holster does show it on there. If you scroll down a little further, there should be one.
Yeah.
Down there.
Is it this
There's
one?
one for the those show it. They don't really show it in use. Yeah, go down a little further.
Oh, here we go.
One done.
We found it.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. And what kind of gun is this that you're using?
I'm using a Gema Pro in here.
Here's a message from today's sponsor.
Do you know chemical strippers from Benko Sales reduced our prep time by up to 80%? We chose Benko B17 and have been using it now for 5 years. We were surprised at how effortless it removed finishes from literally anything we put into it. Removal takes minutes, not hours. Several suppliers over the years have told us they have something as good as B17, but don't believe it. There's a reason the name B17 is universally applied for those claiming to have fast strippers. Buy it by name and available only by Benko Sales. B17 is the industry benchmark by which every other stripper is compared. Accept no substitute. Get started today by going to benkosales.com. BEMCO sales.com.
Say Ross Coat sent you for a free Benko t-shirt.
That was obviously the first one to offer. I have a Gema Optiflex 2B as well. So I was able to create those pretty quick and put those out on the market. I've since gotten them for some of the older Gemas, the Cool Coat Omega guns, some other Columbia guns as well, the Kremlin that's starting to catch traction and get a little popular, Sprint, Wagner gun, and some of the Gemas cross over to some of the copy guns, like the Colo and some of the other ones. But yeah, this all goes back to not having the best eyesight, and I need a little more light to make my life easier.
Right.
And what it's hard to get across to people on something like this is if you have a light spot in one wheel on a set of wheels that you're doing, and you have to redo them. If this prevents that on one set of wheels, it's paid for itself. Because
totally.
then by the time you strip them, go through the whole process again and recoat them. So just having that extra light really save you on
especially in the rim that you're doing, because look how deep that inside edging is. Where you can easily miss that little crevice or Faraday area. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, absolutely.
It's easy, especially with so many on this rim. So this is actually a really excellent video to just kind of show you, because not all rims are easy to coat,
Right. Yeah. So
that's how I picked
complex.
up on you. And then looks like you've got one here for just regular spray gun.
Yeah, that's for the Iwata LPH 80. That's a real popular gun that people use for Cerakote. Prismatic Powders actually sells it off their website. So believe it or not, that's actually the first light I put up for sale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in a Cerakote group, because I was really, really happy with the way it worked out and thought, others might like that.
Yeah.
And I in parallel had the ones in the works for the powder coating guns as well, but that one was actually the first one to sell.
Now, what's this? Or that was
that's
a
booth.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a booth holster. If you've got your powder coating gun towards the front of your booth and you have a bar up towards the filters, and you're coating a lot of small parts on that bar rather than coating them on a rack, it's kind of cumbersome trying to hang onto the gun and move parts around or swap parts out on the rack. So you have to run back to where your unit's at and put the gun back up. It's real easy to be in a hurry doing that, and I think probably the general consensus is the hooks with the way that Gema has them designed. They're just easy to miss that hook, especially if you're in a little bit of a hurry. So then your gun drops, you've broken your gun.
Yeah.
So I thought this would be a good idea. And also the filter on the end of this particular one helps contain the old powder when you're purging your gun to clean it out. So this one comes in 2 different versions. You can get the one with the filter attachment on it, or you can get what I call the the small booth holster where it just holds the gun itself and doesn't have the filter attachment.
Right.
Not everybody wants a filter attachment, so give them 2 options on that.
Right.
But that's one of them products that you don't realize how handy it is until you don't have it.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to convey that sometimes.
It is. I think that sometimes can be when you're innovating something new, you are actually creating an industry in and of itself, right? And I think that is a little harder to get into the marketplace that way because, I mean, it's everybody's wanting these 2-tones, so we understand the difficulty and the headache of doing something like this, especially when they're popular now. People just automatically expect that because you're a powder coater, you already know how to do this, a 2-tone. And there's a lot of thought that goes into it, right?
Yeah, a lot of people think it's real easy. You just put one color on and put the other color on in a couple hours and it's done, but it's far from that.
Right. I think this is this a good one to show people in regards to the tips that you came up with too? Because you've got the tips now is it just the GEMA guns or any kind of gun?
It's just the GEMA guns now. I'm working on one for the Omega guns, but I haven't had a chance to get that one finished yet. But yeah, here, most of my products are because there's a need for something that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I actually had made a quick prototype nozzle, I don't know, probably a year ago, just playing around with my 3D printers, but I never really did anything with it. It's in the world of 3D printing, you don't want to try to replicate something that already exists. You don't want to duplicate something because it's usually cheaper to get something that's already made.
True.
So I never really pursued it any further. But one day, my gun slipped out of my hand, and it damaged the tip on my gun. And I told the wife, go ahead and get another one on order. I had a backup in stock, put on the gun, but it's just always our common practice. Keep something for backup. Once you use that, get another one at the shop so we have it. Well, she calls our local rep that sells the GEMA products, and they were no longer there. I'm not sure what happened, if GEMA pulled them or if the company that was the local rep pulled the department. But anyway, they disappeared. So suddenly I'm faced with the fact that we can't get parts local anymore, if something comes up and we need something in a hurry. So I said, well, maybe I should go ahead and finish developing that tip just so I have it in case of some kind of situation like that. And really, that was just for my own personal benefit at the time. But once I got to working on it, I thought, there are some improvements that can be made here. And one of them is finding a different material that's more shock resistant. So I started pursuing that and playing around with a bunch of different materials. People may think that I come out with these products and, that it just all happens easy, but it's no different than doing a 2-tone wheel. I had to spend a lot of time working on it. I printed probably 40 of those out before I finally got to a design I was happy with. Because once I start the process, I tend to find things that I like to change as I'm going along the way. And one of them obviously was to make it more stronger and more impact resistant so it could survive a drop. And once I did that, then I was just looking at other aspects. What else could I do to make it better? And the OEM piece has a bunch of sharp edges on it. And I thought, it's easy for me to tweak that design and see if I can basically add some better aerodynamics to it. And that's what I did. And by doing that, it now has a better cloud versus the OEM unit without changing anything on your gun. So you simply put this new nozzle in, and it's got better drop protection on your gun, and not just the tip, on your gun as well, and also it performs better. So it's a better performing all around. And it's actually a little bit cheaper than the GEMA OEM part as well.
I have a bit of confession to make because a few months ago, I was at SEMA and I got to sit down to dinner with some of the GEMA people later on after dinner. We continue to kind of hang out, a few of us, and we kind of started talking about maybe thinking about doing a podcast and, what are today's topics and stuff. And I was just so thrilled to have just having the audience of someone that works for GEMA, right? We're Wagner people, but just, I thought, wow, okay, what's my opportunity here to kind of talk about a subject matter? And you were the subject matter.
Hey, Powder Coating Nation, Kim Scott here. It's time to grow your business with us. The Powder Coating Near Me directory can get your powder coating shop the real exposure it needs to succeed when you list your job shop today. Join a list of top custom coaters who've listed their credentials to be discovered by the customers who are searching for powder coating every day. Head over to powdercoatingnearme.com, click Add a Coating Shop, and start creating your very own page for free. Yes, free. You can add your logo, name, address, phone number, map listing, social media links, photos, video, and more. When you submit your listing, we'll get notified and approve you right away. Now you can add all the categories you specialize in and even add your own tags. Get the SEO and valuable backlinks your company needs for authority and getting ranked. You can even use the link you create and share it to your favorite social media profiles to build legitimacy as a custom coder. What are you waiting for? Become part of the largest consumer search directory in powder coating in the world, all for free. Find and click the link in this podcast or go to powdercoatingnearme.com to get started growing your brand today.
Because, my complaint was, why does it cost so much for a GEMA? Why can't you guys make a mid-level gun, an intermediate gun, whatever? I mean, I asked this to any gun manufacturer I can get a hold of, right? And so I had a captive audience, and I thought, this is my chance, my opportunity, especially a few cocktails in. And I did show your, and they were, the gentleman I was talking to was aware of your product. I don't know how aware he was, but he had seen the video before and stuff. And they do pay attention. I don't know if they hear us or listen to us as custom coders, but I think they are seeing us. And so I showed him this very video, and he goes, well, yeah, but now just remember, this guy is more in the distributor type, mid-levels type. He's not the top brass or lower either, in the company. But, I showed him this video, and he goes, well, what about, and this is just some of the conversation or topics that they were coming up with, I guess, in watching your video, was like, well, what about, back ionization and this and that, and, all this stuff. Have you had any back ionization issues? And if you have, how have you resolved them? Obviously, this is a more rubbery type product because it's bouncing versus the plastic part or piece. Am I correct on that?
Yes. There is, it just performs better than their nozzle all around. You can have back ionization with any gun, any nozzle, any powder, if you're not applying it correctly. Let's say that. But this one works better than the OEM nozzle. It's less back ionization. It has a better cloud. The better cloud creates less back ionization. And it also, as far as improvement goes, it's probably a 5% improvement. Maybe that's a little conservative number, but that's what I try to tell people. It's a 5%. It's not twice as good or anything like that.
Right.
You're really buying this because of the effect of dropping your gun, and you get a little bit of benefit out of it. But one thing I did notice that I have noticed about it is the wraparound effect that it has. So, you're shooting apart, think of a bike frame, you're shooting a bike frame, and you go to the other side of that piece, and that powder has wrapped around better, considerably better I think, than the OEM nozzle does.
I'd say
And
that's a good improvement.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not going to claim that I did anything based off any engineering background. It really is just pure luck that it performed better. Just looking at some basic things. Hey, you can improve the aerodynamics. Surely that should improve the overall performance of it. And it did.
Yeah.
So there were no calculations, no formulas, no nothing like that. Just, basically looking at the thing and trying to analyze what could be done to improve it.
Well, I think, you're being really humble here, Scott. I think when people see videos like this, I think they're probably getting more than 5% improvement on a part. And it's certainly worth the upgrade. In seeing the videos and stuff like that. I don't know how much you charge. We can head over to your Etsy shop and stuff here towards the end of the video, and podcast. But, I would say, judging by the comments, like for instance, easy powder coating, take all my money. I'd say you're doing a better than about a 10%. You're probably doing more like 20, 25 at least, and stuff. But I think that, to me, I think that innovation is important always for our industry, no matter what level anybody is at. Secondly, I think that GEMA, I don't try to pick on GEMA at all, or let's just say any of them, any of the big major companies out there, Wagner, GEMA, Intelliflex, or Parker Ionics, and the other one, I forgot. I think they're so busy solving really, really big problems that they're not thinking of going back to any original piece that they've solved and try to solve it even better, right? Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not that they don't want to sell to the individuals like myself and many other custom coaters. Their target market is really probably the big industrial shops. What's more important, selling one gun to one person or 100 guns to a big industrial shop?
Right. But the point you made earlier about how this tip actually wraps the powder around to the other side, that actually is kind of significant, even as a simple statement, because now you're saving powder. And anytime that they can save the manufacturer powder or any other kind of, waste, shortage, whatever kind of problem, that's a significant problem to solve, no matter how small it is.
Definitely.
Because we all know that the little bits that get fallen on the floor or thrown away can actually add up to thousands of dollars.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I wanted to say one thing about this tip. So when I first started using it, like I said, the main priority was to make sure that it was more impact resistant. And I started spraying with it, and I thought to myself, is this thing actually working better? Because, like I said, there was no engineering background behind it. It was just me, trying some different things. So I was actually, questioning myself at first. And after using it for a couple of weeks, I knew for certain that it was. And the first ones I sent out, the gentleman reported back immediately that it was, he noticed the difference, and then other people were saying the same thing about it. So it made me feel good that, I wasn't losing my mind.
The only one. Yeah. I hear
it's my product.
Right.
That's my baby. I want it to be the best. Right. And I was just hoping that I wasn't trying to read it too much into it. But clearly,
believe the hype, believe your own hype, basically. Yeah. For the most part, and I've interviewed quite a few custom coaters, but we're custom coaters ourselves. It's like, for the most part, it seems like custom coaters are a pretty humble type to begin with, right? And it's not because you don't start off being humble, but it's just the industry humbles you when they have to redo something 15 times or put it back in the stripper tank or whatever. I mean, the industry itself can humble you. So you have to be a humble person to begin with in order to survive, and, don't count your chickens before they're hatched.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be you can be having a fantastic day one minute and just completely destroy the next minute. Cody.
I think that in itself is a good topic for a podcast alone.
Yeah, probably so.
But I like the way, I think that's what makes, and when I imagine you doing this, right, and then coming up with these videos and everything like that, I imagine you're in this secret lab somewhere deep in your basement or whatever. Okay. But I think it's really cool that you are able to take you have this thing that you do, this lab, let's just call it Scott's lab, and you're able to kind of just get real intimate with the part that you're working with and perfect it that way. And you're doing it through experimentation. You're doing it through, scalability, right? You're not getting too deep into it. You're testing it and then getting feedback from, your audience or your buyers, and then improving on that. I think that's awesome. And that's the way to scale. That's how tech scales, right? If you're doing an app or something like that, that's the whole, what is it called? The business model for tech people. I'm trying to think of the name of it right now and it's escaped me, but that's how they do it.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. Do you have a secret lab?
I do have a room set up that is, some people might call it the man cave. I don't really call it that because it's filled with a computer and a desk and 3D printers and laser machine and a few other toys. But I do have a room dedicated to it. I didn't initially, because I wasn't at the point I'm at now with it, but eventually I've taken over one of our spare bedrooms, and that's my sanctuary, if you will. A lot of people, they go home and they want to forget work, and not necessarily powder coater. I'm talking about a person in general, might work a regular 9-to-5 job, and they want to forget about work. They want to go watch TV, go hang out with friends or whatever. I'm not like that. I hardly watch any TV. If I'm doing something, I want to be doing something to improve myself or my means to put food on the table or whatever you want to call it. I'm just not a person that sits around and watches much TV. Never really have been. Always been active and doing stuff. I mean, I guess I inherited that from my grandmother. She was 88, taking care of a woman that was 96. So she worked right up to the very end. And that's probably the way I'm going to be. And I'm fine with that. And I'm fine with people that want to have time off and enjoy themselves. Some days I wish I could be like that too, but it's just, for some reason, it's hard for me to do that. My mind never stops. Some of my ideas have come in the middle of the night. I wake up, I come in my room and I take some notes or maybe draw something on the computer so that I have a way to capture that idea and then, pursue it further when I have more time. But, I love doing this. And I don't know what else I would do. Before I started powder coating, I have some hot rods that I would come home and, spend a little time with the wife, eat dinner and stuff, and then go to the garage and work on my cars, or with my stepson working on his car or something like that. So I've always been like that. This is just a different passion that I found.
So let's get into your beginnings and stuff. How did you get started as a custom coater? What's your background? And give us a little bit of that.
So I started out my career as a machinist, first in the automotive industry, and then moved to the oil and gas industry. It's just more money. So it was easy to eventually make that jump, although I didn't enjoy it as much as I did as working on cars, basically. But, it helped pay the bills better. So, 10, 15 years go by, and I was married and had a stepson who was 15. We bought him a project vehicle and was working on that. And of course, he wanted to make it faster, but we wouldn't let him do that. So he wanted to make it look nicer and dress it up, do some stuff under the hood. And at that time, I told him, I said, well, we can you can spend money getting stuff chrome plated. You can get some aluminum pieces and we can try to polish them, because I was wanting to do something to try to teach him some skills along the way. And I said, or we can buy a little powder coating kit and try to powder coat some of the stuff. And that is literally where the powder coating began.
I love it.
We me and him got a gift together that was the Eastwood, the dual easy, whatever it is, powder coating gun. And we started powder coating in the garage, just simple stuff at first. That was about 10 years ago. And we kept working on cars together and powder coating stuff. And back then, Facebook wasn't around, but there were forums that you could go join and talk about your passions,
Right.
And your hobbies and stuff. And they had build threads, so you would start. Here's the car I got. Here's where I'm starting, and go a long way. Well, people seen that I was doing the powder coating on our parts, and some other people reached out and, hey, can you powder coat this bracket for me or this intake for me? And so started doing a little bit on the side, got some better equipment in the garage, and was getting more and more requests from people. And that was probably fast forward about 4 years, and I'm working a full-time job in the oil and gas industry that I'd since moved to actually being a project manager as I stepped up the ladder over the years. But anyway, I was doing that, and I was pretty much powder coating full-time out of my garage. So I had 2 jobs just because, the hot rod industry, everybody knows everybody around. And I was actually doing some work for several shops out of my garage, some little bit of production work. And like I say, it was just working 2 jobs. And the economy finally turned down about 5 years ago. The oil and gas industry is always up and down. It's just something you're used to if you're in it. And that was just part of life. But 5 years ago, it really turned down. Yeah. They had a layoff at the company I was working for. And that 6-8 months later, they had another layoff. And, the outlook wasn't getting any better. I reported direct to the owner of the company, and he always assured me that there was nothing for me to be concerned about. But, you always have that concern in the back of your mind. So I struck up a deal with him. I was salary, and I told him, let me work half days, take half my salary, and I would support myself with the powder coating for the rest of my salary. And he was okay with that, took a burden off the payroll. I committed to, fulfilling my responsibilities that I needed to at work, even if it was after hours. After I would leave, I'd basically leave at lunchtime. And like I said, I reported directly to the owner of the company. We had a good relationship. So did that for about 6 months, and just was driving from our shop to one of the other shops and noticed there was a vacant building that had some warehouse spaces for lease, and just stopped in there and talked to them, and it all seemed to be a good fit. Talked to the wife and told her, I think this is time. And a little over 5 years ago, we made the plunge and went full time. And, haven't really looked back since. It was very interesting because the weekend that we moved in, the weekend before we moved in, Hurricane Harvey decided to come through Houston. So I wasn't sure if we were going to have a shop to move into. I wasn't sure if we were going to have a house to live in or anything, but it all worked out. The shop was fine. The house was fine. Transition, had to work my butt off. Not going to lie about that, but here we are 5 years later and still going strong. Very lucky that we have a good customer base. We do a lot of work for shops. And although we're I pretty much say we're closed to the public. We still take in a few things here and there, but pretty much closed to the public. Don't have to do any selling. Don't have to do anything. The work just comes in, one job at a time, I guess.
Here's a message from today's sponsor.
Ross Coat here from Maui Powder Works. We've been providing customers with high-end custom coatings for over 20 years. We love the powder coating business. Making auto parts, patio furniture, and stuff beautiful for our customers is the fun part. As you know, the hardest part of any job is getting parts prepped for finishing. At times, this means removing tough industrial OEM coatings, which can take hours, if not days, of chemical stripping and sandblasting. Our business was revolutionized when we discovered the great strippers from Benco Sales. Their customer service folks asked the right questions and recommended a stripper tailored for our needs. Give them a call today at 1-800-632-3626.
Get a free Benco stripper t-shirt when you mention Ross Coat.
Yeah, and it's mostly automotive that you're doing, right?
Yes, it's
strictly automotive.
It's probably 95% automotive. We get some other stuff in from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
But
and how big is your
automotive,
shop?
mostly wheels. We got a 5,000 square foot shop. We started out with 2,500 square foot, and 2 years ago, we moved. The tenant beside us moved out, so we took over their shop as well.
Yeah.
Well, 5,000 square feet now.
That's awesome. So tell me more about this. I'm interested in 3D printing myself, not for myself, but just the process itself. How did you get into that? Did you have some background because of the engineering and the other jobs,
Yes.
or how did that work? And what system do you use? And then materials, I don't know how it works.
So as I mentioned, I started out as a machinist. I eventually taught myself how to use AutoCAD, which is a CAD program, and it was just 2D back in that time. Taught myself how to use that. Happened to get a job at a basically engineering R&D type firm that produced products, but a lot of their work was R&D stuff. Got real close with the owner there. He eventually pulled me into doing designing and CAD work and running the CAD department. In 1999, me and him worked on a project together that he filed for U.S. patent for. So we were co-inventors on the patent. It was through the company, so it's all paid for by the company. It was a piece of oil field equipment. Nothing significant to most people, but I was pretty proud of it. Still pretty proud of it. Anyway, got more into management. Still did. I had such a strong background with CNC. I was always basically involved in the machining and building of our products a lot. So eventually left there. 5 years worked at another company. 5 years worked at another company, but always the same engineering type. Basically solving problems is what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of mentality on the, for the last 20 years, it's just never changed. So everything I look at, I'm always solving a problem with it, trying to make improvements. And so anyway, the 3D printing, since I had the machining background, the engineering background, all that just came natural. It's just a different type of machine that we're using. So the 3D printers, you can get into them very inexpensively, as little as $100. The software that basically communicates with your computer to the machine usually comes with the printer, or it's a free download to use. Probably the most challenging part is coming up with a design on your own and using CAD software to create that design. There are tons of things that you can download and print straight off the internet through various websites, but it's mostly toys.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. It's real popular. There are a lot of people that make a ton of money selling that kind of stuff. So definitely no knock against that. It's just my focus is always more on solving problems and making my life easier, which in turn makes other powder coaters' life easier. But anyway, so to me, it actually came, fairly natural. A CNC machining center versus a 3D printer are very close to the same, as they use the same G code. It's just a different application of applying that you're adding material rather than removing it versus machining something.
Yeah, and so the material that you're using or that gets printed, it's, first of all, is it rubber? What is the material, or does it vary? You can do a hard plastic and a rubbery type.
It does vary. Generally speaking, most of them are what you'd consider just a hard plastic. There are some more rubbery type. They refer to as TPU or TPE, basically thermoplastic. And there's some really rubbery materials. There's even machines that can print silicone rubber. They're mostly used in the medical industry, and they are definitely higher in the range of pricing. There's also metal 3D printers that can print metal. A good friend of mine started a business doing metal 3D printers. And, to put things in perspective, I think a machine to basically produce something that would fit in the palm of your hand was about $100,000 at the time. That was 3 or 4 years ago. So, that's out of reach for a lot of people. But the technology is getting there where that's getting more in reach for people. I'm really interested in the silicone 3D printing machines because, we use silicone plugs, and I see a bunch of opportunity there for silicone masking products. But it's hard to know when the price is going to come down where it's feasible to jump into that.
Yeah, Ross and I had a conversation about you the other day, because I had just set up the interview, or was about to, with you. And, I explained, I think I saw it in a chat, that you were talking about doing the valve cover backs and just customizing every single one of them, or having a program that could do that and stuff. So can you, would you, if that were to come, if the silicone would come down in price and stuff, would you scan it? Is that how you would get it into the CAD? Is you would just scan the dimensions and the holes, and because they're all different sizes, right? So how would you go about that?
Yeah, I think ultimately on stuff like valve covers, that would be the best solution. One of the things I want to make is masking plugs for the back of wheels. Yeah. Those are fairly easy to dimension out and just draw it up in a CAD program. So complex stuff, scanning it and turning that into a mold or a plug would be
nice. Yeah,
would be
anything to avoid the taping, right? Because that's really such a long part of it. And now, I don't know if you know this, but my husband broke his hand, so taping is a little harder these days. And so, obviously, he reacted to that with, in regards to doing it that way, not just for valve covers, but for the backs of wheels and stuff like that. How innovative that would be. So we're rooting for you. We're rooting for you. Just in case you kind of dropped in late, or you're just getting to this, we're interviewing Scott Coates of Coatingsbycoates on Instagram, and we're talking about new products. And now, how much is your setup? Give me price ranges for these. I'm just curious. I never go out and buy anything like that, but the one that you're using is called a bamboo. What sort of what kind of pricing are we talking about?
That bamboo is a new product actually on the market. So let's start. There are more entry level printers. I would say you buy them. Let's say there's plenty in the $200 range market. You have to do a little bit of assembly work, put them together, and then it's after that it's fairly simple to get stuff printing on them. You download the software on your computer. You buy whatever filament you desire. There's a filament called PLA that seems to be the most common filament that people use, and it's very easy to use, inexpensive. not what you'd call it engineering grade material. But yeah, you can certainly under $500, you can have a setup and start producing parts. And the Bamboo X1 Carbon that I just have been posting about, that one's in the $1,500 range, but it's we're talking about Eastwood guns compared to a GEMA gun.
Right.
That's basic. The easiest way to make it where people would understand. Lower end Eastwood ones will get the job done and can do a pretty good job if you work with them enough. The higher end one just makes it a lot easier to get good parts out, because they're, like I say, it's just like doing a two-tone wheel. You have to gain some experience working with the different aspects of the 3D printer, and you have to spend some time to get good products off of it. It doesn't just happen automatically. The Bamboo makes it a lot closer to happening automatically, and who knows what they'll be coming out with shortly afterwards. But the Bamboo is basically the iPhone of the 3D printers, and it's got a lot of new features on it and stuff that make life a lot easier. But yeah, Ender 3 is one of the more common low cost printers that you can get and start printing right away. There's tons of videos, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere on 3D printing, and it's something that you can get into relatively low cost. A funny story is, though, the first 3D printer I bought, instead of buying something simple, I thought, well, I'll use that money to buy something that I have to put together myself completely, and basically get a box full of parts and build it all. And I did that, and I didn't have enough experience, so I didn't do a good job putting it together. And I didn't have enough time, really, because I was busy. That was when we were first starting out full-time powder coating. So I didn't really do a good job putting the printer together. The results I were getting out of it weren't very good, so kind of got a little disappointed in it. And it took probably another year, and me buying a printer that was more assembled and easier to get up and running, that got me where I needed to really get started going to it. Now, I could have spent more time doing it, but time is something that I don't have a lot of. And since I didn't have that time, I didn't pursue it much further. And once I finally did, things took off pretty quickly for me. So, just like powder coating, you gotta invest the time to get a good result at the end.
I love your story mostly because your background led to where you are today.
Yes.
It's, I guess, those that I find interesting, whether I find them on Instagram or in the chat or, on Facebook or whatever, it's like they have these steps that they didn't know, back then would get them to today, where they are today, right? I love that experience, and I don't know where I'm going with this question, but I mean, what do you have any words for encouragement on people that do want to kind of solve problems for themselves?
Hi, this is Ross at Maui Powder Works.
I have this problem with my finish. It's peeling and cracking, and there appears to be a white powdery substance underneath. What's happening?
Oh yeah, that's a common problem. It's called electrolysis, and in extreme weather and climates, it can ruin the life of your finishes. What we do to fix this is we install a Duralife fastener.
Prevent the early onset of coating failure with our specially designed screw cap that fits any 1/4-inch hole.
Give all your commercial and residential jobs the longest durability against corrosion in harsh environments, perfect for powder coated, painted, or conversion coated finishes.
To order your Duralife sink fasteners today, go to MauiPowderworks.com, click Shop, then click Duralife. While you're there, check out our other products.
Extend the life of your finish. Let Duralife be your protector.
Yeah. If you look on my Instagram page, is it possible to pull that up?
Yeah, we can do that.
the one thing is never give up. There's a
True.
so scroll back up towards the top. Let me see this. A little further. Okay, right there to the left.
This one?
No, to the left.
Oh, yeah, it's opposite.
Down past the wheel face. You see me with a tool and a black wheel in the background.
Yeah.
Now you can't hear the music on there, but it makes me laugh because there's a song from Snoop Dogg, and he starts out by saying, basically, most of all, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for not giving up. I want to thank
let me see if I can do it. Yeah.
I want to thank me for having no days off. I want to thank me for never quitting. I want to thank me.
There we go. I'm not sure.
You can listen to this.
Yeah.
You can listen to more of it on my page, and if you want some advice, that song is the advice. Don't give up. Keep working hard. There's some saying that Elon Musk had. I don't know it word for word, but basically he says that if you work 80 hours a week versus 40 hours a week, you're going to accomplish twice as much in your lifetime. And there's just no substitution for hard work.
No, I agree with that. 100%.
That's me.
Mm-hmm.
But there's products that I have out now that started out as something that I probably didn't have much faith would work. But I started with something, and then I kept developing it further and further and further until I got it to where it was something that I thought other people would want, and that, makes an impact on what you're doing. But that's the biggest thing. Never give up.
I think that's sage advice. I mean, but here's the rub though, with, unfortunately for there are people, or just a generation, I don't know, there are people out there that see a lot of Instagram influencers. And we actually did a kind of a podcast on this. I want to say it was podcast 41 or 42 or 43. And it was it was trying to get your goals accomplished in a very surreal world. Because we do look at you now, right, on this video, and here you are with your own tools that you're selling into the marketplace. And people, I think, just because of digital media availability or access to it, people do think that it happens overnight when it really doesn't. And that is the surrealness of our world, because really what behind took years in the making, right? It wasn't something that happened overnight. Ross and I literally could tell you our live story and realize, okay, I can look back at that now, but at the time we were suffering, you know what I mean? Or we were struggling. The struggle is real, right? And it's mostly 80% struggle, 20%, until you can get to the innovation part and get it launched and stuff. And there's the whole other thing of it too. It's okay, you've got these wonderful tools. How do you get them out to the marketplace quickly enough? Or how do you, then you maybe might be running into production or distribution, or, there's a lot of problems to solve even after you've made this incredible invention, right? These inventions.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really need to launch a website. We're selling stuff through Etsy now, which has worked, and I mean, I'm surprised how well it's worked, to be honest with you. Most of the videos you see me put together, I literally just finished coating a rack of wheels and rolled them in the oven, and I grabbed this stuff right quick, do a quick video on my iPhone, nothing fancy, and just get the information. So basically, just getting the information out there as quick as I can. To show off some of the stuff I'm working on. And, that may look clumsy, haphazard sometimes, but it also, it's real.
Yeah.
This is no different than some other person in their powder coating shop, facing some of their hurdles that they have to face every day. So I guess I do try to keep it real.
Right. I'm going to try to flip over to Sharon, your Etsy shop, I guess, is really what it is. And most of
fact,
these products are like totally affordable. Like they're not thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, that's been one of my goals too. I still go back to the mentality of when I was working in my garage, starting out, I couldn't afford a GEMA. Money was more important for other things than the tools that I would be needing out in the garage. So I still try to keep it affordable for people, even if they're the guys still working in the garage. So a lot of us started there, and even nowadays, I still have to be efficient with where we spend our money. You can't just blow and go like it was in the oil field. There's so much money wasted there; it's almost as bad as the government. So
I can imagine.
I try to be, like I say, very conscious of what other people can afford. And there's some products on there that we really, by the time we package it up and ship it out and do the testing, we really don't make that much money off of it. But they may be looking on our Etsy page and buy that product and buy another product. So it kind of offsets it and, helps it all work out in the end.
Yeah. And you're keeping up with your orders and stuff like that, seems like, and everything. So let me pop that up on this is your Etsy store, but I was going to just kind of say there's your Instagram, Coatingsbycoates on Instagram. So
yeah, I just want to jump in and say on my Instagram page in our bio is the link to our Etsy store.
Yeah.
No matter how many videos I post, it's a link in sale. People still seem to miss it. So if you go to my Instagram page, it's in the bio. If you go to my personal Facebook page, it's in my bio. If you go to my TikTok account, it's in my bio. So it's always in my bio to get to our page.
And this is the page, the Etsy page. Yeah.
Yes. And also, if you look, the second one from the left, that's it's not a new product, but that's a combo kit we're doing now.
This one here?
No, one over to the left. Where it's got the 4 pictures in it.
Okay, yeah.
So that's our combo kit. If you're listening and you haven't bought any of our products, that's the best money for your value because we put all those together and it gives you a slight discount versus purchasing them separate. So that's everything for our shop vac setup that we offer. So you get the whole package by just ordering that one item. Now it shows $110. That's for part of it. So basically, if somebody's already bought our shop vac attachment kit, like you see over on the right, they don't have to buy that again. They can buy just all of the attachments that we now offer. So there's a drop-down menu in there that lets them pick either the whole thing with the shop vac kit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The hoses and everything, or you can buy just the whole setup of attachments that we now have.
And yeah, I see all the tips now that you have. It's like you keep expanding on the different kinds of tips based on the products and stuff, or the projects that you're doing.
Yeah, probably the most popular though is the flexible attachments and the extractor, the powder extractor kit. Those will pay for themselves. The powder extractor kit, I promise people, literally, the first set of 2-tone wheels they use that on, it will pay for itself in the time that they save.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I see that already just in terms of like what you've developed so far. And I know you've probably got in your secret lab some even more goodies in there.
Oh yeah. I've got at least 10 different things that I'll be working on, this next year coming up. Don't want to really spill the beans on any of them yet.
No. I want you to come back.
Yeah, but definitely going to be some more exciting stuff next year. And, I also get a bunch of feedback from other powder coaters, and that's where I've developed some of my products from. The booth holster is one of those products that one of my customers named Rich. He had bought some of our products, and he sent me a picture, I think. I could be wrong, but I believe he sent me a picture with his gun and the hook was broken off of it. And he said, if you could figure out a way to basically remedy that problem, it would be nice. And that's kind of where the booth holster developed from. Paul Foster of AV Powder Coating in Arizona gave me the idea for the pneumatic vac. So any and all feedback is always welcome, because like I say, even an idea that doesn't sound like a good idea initially can turn into a good idea.
It's true. And I think there are many gaps in our industry right now. And I also think there is a lot of opportunity, if you can think through things effectively enough, either through solving problems at your shop or solving industry problems in general. I think there's a lot of forward movement happening, or going to happen if not happening already. So this is awesome. I'm so glad. It's what's taken us so long. Anyways, we're all too busy. I know it's really hard to get custom coders on the show and stuff, but I certainly do appreciate you coming on, and your wife managing that Etsy shop and stuff. I know it's been, I know you've been bombarded with orders and trying to just keep up with it all, but I think it's awesome that you're doing what you're doing, because it's more than just making a quick buck off of a new product. It's trying to evolutionize or revolutionize our industry, no matter how big or small.
Yeah, if I was just trying to do it just for the money, I would just print products that were already released, like the toys and stuff I'd mentioned, and just put those up for sale. But that's not really where I'm interested. And I am trying to, my end goal is to eventually let my son take over the powder coating business and step away from that for the most part, and just do the product development and, sell these products. I think we're at 20 products now. Next year, I want to be at 100 products.
Wow.
And after that, I want to be, at 200. The year after that, I want to be at 200 products. That may be a little bit of a reach, but, I set high goals for myself to keep the pressure on, and definitely going to be coming out with more stuff next year.
Well, you are truly an inspiration, and I'm glad we're kind of, as we're recording this, probably won't get published until the new year, but I'm very excited to have you, because you're an inspiration to me and our community, especially at the beginning of the year, because we should all be thinking about goal setting right now. And I'm happy that you are talking, and you have some really big goals that you want to achieve. It's not easy to hand over your custom coating shop that you've worked hard at to a family member or a new person. I mean, we've just hired someone new that we're hoping to kind of foster and, develop into someone that could be that person like your son maybe in the future. And so it's not easy to kind of let that go, or know, or have things in place that give you assurance that if you do step away, it's not all going to come falling down.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. I'll stick around with it as long as I can. I'm going to make sure he has every possible opportunity to succeed, when the time comes.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a show in and of itself right there, Scott. So we'd love to have you come back and talk about that, as well as your other new products and everything. So thanks again so much for making time. I know it's Christmas time, a holiday time for all of us, and I really appreciate the time that you do have, because you could be spending it, doing something else right now.
Well, not a problem at all. I'm sorry that it's taking this long, but I think when we first started talking, I really didn't have as many products out as I would have liked to have had, and I felt my time was best working on getting more out there for everyone. And now, like I say, we've got 20 products out there, and it's moving along at a good pace. And I want to say thank you to all of my customers, and y'all have just been great. The feedback, I get some funny responses and tags and Instagram and TikTok and Facebook that really make me laugh someday with the comments, and really, people just don't realize how much that means to me. One gentleman in particular, he did one of the screen shares on TikTok where he's just pulling his wallet out and throwing money at the camera, for our products. and that just made my day. That was when I released it in back, so that was pretty overwhelming, with emotions on stuff like that. So I do appreciate everybody and all the customers, and we do everything we can to make sure, if things do happen with our products, we've had some get damaged during shipping, and we do everything within our power to make it not just right, to make it better than right. And we'll continue to always do that. That's the same way I run my powder coating business, and that's the same way that I'm running my Etsy business too.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we're certainly going to have you back on again because you've been a pleasure, and it's so good to know your story. We're interviewing Scott Coates at Instagram, Coatingsbycoates, and in his Instagram profile is a link to his shop. He sells new products that and attachments that go to either helping you do two-tone wheels a little easier, or etching out and doing different colored tones on the lettering on wheels, and just vacuum them off all that extra powder that you don't need when you're powder coating. So thanks so much for joining us today, and have a beautiful day.
All right. Thank you.